What's up, everybody? It's Broken Bones here, and welcome to Broken's Bedrock Tutorials. Today, we're going to be learning about the creaking. We are here in my redstone testing world where I test and learn about all different types of things. And so today's video isn't going to be a tutorial at all. It's actually going to be a research video where we learn and figure out how we can use the creaking to our advantage in survival. Upon doing some research, I noticed that the first thing is that there is no mob head for the creaking, and not even in the creative menu. Look at this, and it doesn't look like all the mob heads are available. That's something I didn't even think about. However, there is a spawn egg. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and see what happens when we spawn it in here. Cool. He walked really funny. I've never actually seen this mob in the game yet, so this is my first time seeing it. That is kind of creepy. If I'm in survival mode, I wonder how much damage the creaking deals, especially if I have no armor on. Let's see. If I stay looking at him, I've heard that he doesn't move if you look at him. However, does he move if we... So he doesn't move if you're looking. Can we... Yeah, he moves when you look away from him. So let's see, if we look away, how much damage does he deal? Are you going to deal any damage to me? I mean, there's nothing really stopping him from dealing damage to me. He hasn't hit me once. What the heck? If I hit him with my sword, how many times do I have to hit him? Are you kidding me? Just once? This sword's not even enchanted. I saw Momo's Jumbo's video the other day about the creaking being in water, and if you look at it, it'll sink or something, and then if you don't look at it, it'll rise, but it looks like this guy's bouncing. We need to put a block above his head. All right, well, at that height, he just kind of always stands on the pressure plate. I think there needs to be a little bit higher. Let's go ahead and see if we can maybe put a slab right here, if like this. Will that make it to where he doesn't stand on there? I think that's the right height right there. And let's go ahead and pop these out. And if we look at them, and actually let me go ahead and put myself in survival here. So if we look at him, he sinks. And if we look away, he rises. So that's something that we can use as a switch. We could look at something and he sinks, and we look away and he rises. That's pretty cool. That works in Java Edition and Bedrock Edition. All right, so down here in the creative menu is the creaking heart. Let's go ahead and put that in our inventory, and let's see what we can do with this. So if we place the heart down, does anything happen? Does anything happen with that? I'm not sure what happens. If you break it, nothing happens either. Let's go in survival mode here real quick and see what happens when we hit it. Ooh, it makes cool noises. Oh, it makes some really cool noises. I wonder if it'll make a noise from projectiles. No, it doesn't seem to. If that was snowballs, I wonder if arrows will. Nope, no sounds. But it will make a sound if a player hits it. That's a really creepy sound. So looking at the wiki, it says that a creaking will spawn if you put it in between two of the pale oak logs. Let's see, is there any creaking spawn? I don't see a creaking spawning anywhere. But I do see the heart lit up, because look at the heart naturally. It lights up when it goes in between these logs. I wonder if it has to be nighttime, maybe? But the other thing too is that it does light up in between these logs. So I set up a couple tests right here, and it looks like it'll light up in between any of the logs, but it has to be on the actual side with the this going on, the actual wood part. And so if you put it in between logs like that, it actually won't work. It doesn't go sideways if it's from bark to bark. The hyphae, though, the one with bark on all the sides, I believe it works on that one, and I'm not sure if that'll work if I go like this and like that. Let's test this. If we go sideways on that, no, it still has to be the ends of the hyphae block too. So that's something. And here's that right there. So you can see that if the blocks are sideways like that, the heart still won't light up. But if it's sideways like this, you can actually still do it like that. So it can be sideways, but you have to have the ends of the logs. And it can be with any of the wood variants. But now that we got this figured out, let's go ahead and see what it takes to make a creaking spawn. So I'm gonna leave these two hearts in here. Let's go ahead and set it to nighttime. Let's go ahead and set night. Ooh, there's the creakings right there. So it has to be dark. It has to be dark in order for them to spawn. And let's go ahead and set it back to day. Ooh, they disappear during the day. So if they spawn naturally, they have to spawn in the dark, and if it turns day, it looks like they disappear. And then if you use a spawn egg from creative mode, it doesn't matter if it's daytime, they stay alive. Okay, and if it's nighttime, let's go ahead and see what it takes to kill these guys. If we give them some damage, ooh, look at all those particles. Those are the resin particles that they're talking about. So you can make a resin farm. If the creaking takes damage, the heart sends resin. Look at this block under here. It already has some resin on it. So when the creaking take damage, the heart will send resin to the surrounding logs, but it looks like you can also take a resin clump like I've got right here, and you can manually put it on the log right there. And it looks like you can put both of those right there in the same block. That's actually pretty cool because, yeah, if you break it, they both break, but you can place one there, and then there's not one there, but you can also place another one over there, and it's in the same block. That's really cool. So I wonder if that'll work with like a trap door, because that doesn't take up the whole block either. Let's see if we do that. Can we put resin? We cannot put resin, so yeah, that doesn't work. I wonder about, how about with lichen? If we put lichen right there, can we put resin over here? Oh, it's either one or the other. Look at that. It kind of cancels it out. Let's see if we go like this. Yep, it's either one or the other, but I know lichen is one of those blocks that you can put on all three surfaces just like that in the same block. So it looks like resin is kind of the same way. You can either put it on all, yeah, you can put it on all sides as long as it's just resin. It can't be another material like lichen. And if one of those pale oak logs has resin on it and you break it, you get the resin that comes off it in these clumps like this. And it doesn't just work if you break it, it also works if you move the block. However, the heart itself, it's immovable. It does not move with a piston. And here are all the crafting recipes to everything that you can make out of resin. You can make a resin block with 9 clumps of resin, some resin bricks with 4 of the resin bricks, and you can make resin back from the resin block, which is pretty cool, so you can go back and forth. And then they have the wall variant, the stair variant, the slab variant, and then the chiseled resin bricks. If you put the resin bricks into a stone cutter, you get all of these options as well. And remember how earlier one hit of this guy with a sword actually killed him? Look at this. If he has a heart, he actually doesn't die. Look at that. You can give him as much damage as you want by the look of it, and he's not going to die. Yet if you go ahead and go like this and you destroy the heart, he's going to die. And listen to this. Oh, that's really cool. And I know that when the creaking takes damage, it spreads this resin around to all the surrounding blocks, and everyone's big question is, how do you farm this? Because you can do cool stuff with it, like put it on your netherite armor. Because let's face it, that does look pretty sick. I noticed while going through the crafting menu that you could make these pale oak hanging signs. Look at how cool those look. Yep, that looks pretty cool. And just check this out. If you take 2 pale oak logs with a block of resin in the middle, you can craft yourself more creaking hearts. So I suppose that would be your step 1 in making a farm. And then in doing some research, it seems like the resin can spread up to 3 blocks away. So if you've surrounded it like this with wood, then it would go ahead and spread to up to 3 blocks away, kind of in a diamond fashion. And so you could use this as kind of like your farming wall. And then you want to have your creaking spawn somewhere nearby. And now, in order to get the creaking to spawn naturally, it is going to spawn in a certain area. The creaking can spawn anywhere that's 8 blocks above, 8 blocks below, or even 18 blocks to either side. And it'll spawn in a giant cube shape like that. And it'll continue to try to spawn in every different block. And then once it finally tries to attempt to spawn in here, it'll go ahead and spawn. So let's go ahead and turn it dark. Let's go ahead and go to the time. Let's go ahead and turn it to midnight. There we go. And even though it's dark and this is the only spawning spot around, as you can see, the creaking is not immediately spawning. However, it'll eventually spawn there. And from my knowledge, I understand that it only spawns at nighttime regardless of the light level. So we could even put a torch right here and it wouldn't matter. It should still spawn even though that there's light. Oop, there we go. We got ourselves a creaking spawn. I was actually trying to help it along by making the floor a little bit bigger. But look at that. We got ourselves a creaking spawn with the light there. So that is true. It does not matter the light level. The creaking will still spawn. It just has to be nighttime. So all in all, it would be more efficient if you had a larger spawning space for these guys to spawn in. You'd get one a lot sooner. And since daytime and nighttime only last so long, you'd want the guy to spawn rather quickly so you could get to really hitting him and starting to make that resin. So as you can see, he does make resin. It seems like it takes right around 5 seconds for that animation to start and stop. And as you can see, I don't think it really matters if you hit him more. he only interacts with the heart only about every 5 seconds. So you'd have to time out that animation, and you could kind of see that it starts out in the 4 spaces around the heart first before it branches out. So those are the first spaces that it actually takes. So really, you could make a farm with just those 4 blocks. And as you can see, it kind of spreads out from there. It doesn't start out at the end. It kind of starts out in the middle and works its way out. So every 5 seconds, you could deal damage to the Creaking, and it'll spread resin from the heart. And every 5 seconds when you do that, it'll spread from the heart moving outwards. And as you can see now, again, it started out with the second smallest diamond, this one right here. So it started out with the 4 blocks right around the heart, and now it's going to start around all these blocks first before it moves out to the outer 3rd ring. So now if we go just like this, we should see that eventually we start to get one more popping out somewhere. Let's hit him up here again, and he should spread resin here shortly. Now, by the look of it, I've been hitting this guy quite a bit, and I haven't seen any more resin forming. However, I looked up some videos on YouTube and looked in the wiki, and it said that it spread out 3 blocks, but this is only spreading out 2. And I wonder, if we break this block, would that be technically the 3rd block if it spreads to that edge? Let's see here. If we hurt this guy, is he going to spread? He spreads to that block too, so technically, if you have that out, does he spread to this block too? If you go just like that and maybe like this, will he spread to those other faces as well? Because you could actually turn that into... He'll spread to those blocks too. So that's extra spawning spaces for the resin. So it'll spawn up to 3 blocks away from the heart, but the 3rd block is this flat face over here like that. However, for making a farm, I really don't think that's going to matter because this resin only spreads 1 block at a time. And since it spreads to these 4 blocks first, I would say to make a farm, you would only need these 4 outer blocks right around the heart. But it is cool to understand the other mechanics, and as you can see over here, I've made it a 3-dimensional. The resin will spawn on all these blocks just like this, so it'll spawn up to 2 blocks away, but the 3rd block is pretty much just the air block right next to it, and so it'll spawn on the outside of the blocks there as well, and so that's pretty cool that it'll actually create that whole shape. It's not just 2-dimensional, it'll spawn onto 3-dimensional shape like this. Let's see what happens when you put water on it. Let's go ahead and go like this and see what happens. It looks like, wow, water flows literally right over it. Does it flow over it? Or is that an air? That's an air pocket. Wow, the water flows right around it. That's interesting. That's unexpected. I thought it would have definitely flushed off. So you can't flush resin with water, but you can break it manually, and you can push the blocks that it's on, and it'll break off like that too. So you could have a water stream down there or something like that to collect all of your blocks. Once you collect all of your resin, you're going to want to make sure that you smelt it up, and that'll turn it into these resin bricks right here. So you can smelt this in a blast furnace, I believe, and if you go just like that, actually no, you can't smelt that in a blast furnace. I thought you could have. Let's see, you can't smoke that in a smoker either. So the only thing you can do that in is inside of a furnace. Let's see. That is true. You can only smelt that in a furnace. Wow. I've also heard that resin has a pretty high XP rating in the furnace, so let's go ahead and kill ourselves here. I'm going to go ahead and jump off and die, and let's go ahead and respawn. I'll go back into creative mode, and we need to go ahead and find our resin farm. I don't even know where that's at. Here it is. I found it. Let's go ahead and drop back down on top of it. We'll put ourselves into survival. I have 0 levels. Let's go ahead and withdraw 8 of these resin bricks. Let's go ahead and see. That's 8 resin bricks, and you get only that much. It's like not even half. But regardless of that, I've actually heard that it's one of the highest returning XP ores that you can smelt. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. And regardless if you shade this guy from the sun, I've heard that he despawns regardless if it's day or night. So let's go ahead and put a block over his head. This is something I just wanted to test, and we're going to turn it to daytime. This would keep any other hostile mob alive because it keeps the sun off their head. And if it doesn't do that to this guy, then it is true that they cannot live during the day. They despawn during the day. So let's go ahead and turn the daytime on. Let's go ahead and turn it to day, just like that. Ooh, that animation and the sound is so cool. One other thing I wanted to test was I've seen a lot of people using trident killers to give these things damage, which is fine, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to test if they take suffocation damage. That's something that affects a lot of other mobs, and I haven't seen anybody else use. Let's go ahead and see if suffocation damage works. That doesn't seem to work. Let's go ahead and use 2 blocks. Let's go ahead and see what that does. Does he take any he's not taking any damage. He's not taking any damage at all. Wow. And earlier when we did the water test, one of the things that I was thinking about was I wonder if it is influenced by any of the liquids. So let's go ahead and test with water. If you can move this guy with water. If we place in a water bucket right there. There we go. Yep, he's trying to walk the opposite direction. It's still pushing him. So he's influenced by water. That's cool to know. Let's go ahead and take that out. Is he influenced by lava? If we put lava over here, let's see if he's influenced by that. So he doesn't take damage from that. That's interesting. And the flowing lava doesn't really seem to have much of an impact on him. I'm not sure if he'd be able to walk against that or not. Let's go ahead and see. If we go over here, looks like he wants to walk in this direction. So let's see if he can walk resisting that. He's walking in that direction, but the lava is pushing him. So he is influenced by lava. He can be moved by lava too. That's kind of cool, but he doesn't take damage. That's kind of weird considering that he's a tree mob. I wonder if we can push him into the nether. Let's go ahead and light a portal here and let's see if we can push him into the nether. Can we push you into the nether? He's in the portal. Dude, he's in the portal and he doesn't. Wow. He's bound to the overworld? I wonder about the end portal. Alright, let's see what happens here. I want you to go that way. Go that way. Let's see if we can get him into the portal and go down. He's literally standing in the end portal. He's bound to the overworld. That's insane. So it also says in the wiki that the Creaking will despawn when he's 32 blocks away from his heart. So let's see if I can get this guy to come that far away. I want to see if I can get him to despawn here. This is beyond 32 blocks now. So if I'm all the way out here and we look away, is he going to get me? Or is he even... He's not even going to come into that range. He won't even go beyond that. That's kind of interesting. Let's see how close we can get. I'm completely faced the opposite direction. He won't go into the range in which he'll die. And what's funny is that earlier we found that he doesn't even deal damage. I don't know. At least that's what I feel like. Oh, wait, maybe I was wrong. Here we go. Yep, he deals damage. I guess I was wrong. I was kind of wondering if the Creaking is attracted to any type of mob. Maybe he gets aggro to a certain type of mob. I'm not sure. I don't think so. And that last little experiment, it will wrap up today's video. It's been a lot of fun learning about all the mechanics and what works and what doesn't work with this new Creaking mob. I scoured YouTube, I scoured the forum, I scoured the Minecraft wiki. I pretty much figured out every mechanic about this mob. And if you guys have any other questions about it, please go down in the description and look at my Discord channel down there. I've got a fan chat where you guys can go ahead and get in touch with me and ask me all the questions you want. So if you guys do, be sure to go ahead and click on that. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And if you guys did, be sure to smack that like button for me and subscribe if you guys are new. I'm Broken Bones, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next tutorial. Take it easy, everybody.